I'm here with Ben Carruthers, former TCU second baseman, also an employee of the Texas A&M University IMG. I'll let you explain it all because it's all great. But he's here down in the Houston College Station area working for A&M. Also played for new A&M head coach Jim Schlossnagle. Ben, what's going on, man?
Hey, how are you, T Brown?
Doing good. Hey,
Good to see you, man.
so uh, let's just get right to it. I
Yeah.
know fans are going to want to know what it's like to be a player for Jim Schlossnagle. What do you remember from your time playing for him, and what can A&M fans expect to expect from him?
Oh man. Well, first off, I've got three little girls at home with me. I work from home, so I apologize if there's any shouting or anything like that. But no, I mean, so I played for Coach Slosh from 2005 to 2009. Played for him for 4 years. I mean, awesome coach, obviously, with his track record at TCU, what he did with the program. Uh, obviously his name is always mentioned in big time hirings just because of his success. My time with him, I just remember it being great, being a lot of great memories on and off the field. I was kind of looking back and reading his bio that 12thman.com put out, just about kind of his career, where it started. And it's crazy that, he started as a head coach, like when he was like 30 years old. And so he was extremely young, and was coaching guys that were not too much younger than he was. And so I think he's always had that drive and that expectation in himself to be great. Whenever I stepped foot on campus in Fort Worth in the fall of 2005, it was always about Omaha. It was Omaha, Omaha, Omaha. And, being a 18-year-old, 19-year-old bright-eyed kid, like, what is Omaha? What is this? And so that was always the expectation, was to get to the College World Series and get there and win. I was lucky enough to be a part of a team that didn't make it to Omaha, made it one game away, lost in Austin in the Super Regional to University of Texas. But then the next year, they went down to Austin and they beat Texas to get to their first College World Series in 2010. So just a ton of life lessons that were taught using the game of baseball, but have luckily carried over into my professional career, my family life, and I always, a lot of very very simple things, but things that make a huge difference. And using the game of baseball to kind of look at life as a whole. In game of baseball, he always told us there's so many things that you can't control. You can have a great at bat and hit a ball on the nose right at the center fielder, and you're 0 for 1, right? Or if you're a pitcher, you can make a perfect pitch exactly in the spot you want, and a guy can hit it off the end of the bat and fall in for a single, right? There's so many things that you can't control, but he taught all of us, from the moment we stepped on campus, that the two things that you can control are your energy and your efforts. And I carry that into my everyday life. Man, if I have a great attitude going into whatever it is, whether it be making dinner at night, or getting up to do a workout that I don't want to do, or making another sales call, or doing whatever. If I have a great attitude, then that's going to carry over into my energy, which, if I have that off the charts, man, those are the two things, energy and effort. If I always have a great attitude and always have a ton of energy, I'm going to be successful no matter what I do. And that's kind of how we played, as TCU, as I kind of look back at my time there in 2006, was our first year in the Mountain West Conference. We had a pretty good team. We had a lot of guys that probably weren't recruited to big time programs. Now, we did have Jake Arrieta, we did have Matt Carpenter. So you're kind of saying, like, well, what are you talking about? But those two guys aside, we had a lot of guys that maybe Texas wasn't looking at, A&M wasn't looking at. And he really made us play, or he taught us and told us that, hey, you have an opportunity to outwork every single person at all of these different programs. And the work that you put in while no one else is watching, the work that you put in the fall, the reason we're getting up at 4 a.m. to work out, the reason that we're pushing ourselves the way that we are. And so whenever we get into these situations between the lines, we're prepared and we're going to give it everything that we have. And we can look back then and say, we might not have won, but we gave it everything that we had, and we had, gave tremendous energy, gave it tremendous effort, and that really carried on through my 4 years to where we hosted a regional my senior year. Like I said, we went down to Austin and we're one game away. I think we lost that game three, 4-1, 4-2. Played really well, and obviously that carried over into 2010. And then I think it was 14 through 17, 4 straight College World Series or somewhere around there. So I mean, it's crazy to think back that, man, that was 16 years ago that I was a
Yeah.
freshman in college. But those same core values and same core principles are with Coach Schloss. I know they are because I watch how the team plays. It's all about playing for the name on the front and not the name on the back. He taught us all how to be excellent teammates, to always pick up your teammates, always play till the 27th out, till the last pitch, but always take it one pitch at a time, right? Because baseball is one of those funny games that things can turn in an instant. And you can't ever get too up, you can't ever get too down. And I'll share just a few stories with you about my time there. Whenever we had connected and you said, asked me to join you, I was thinking about some great times that I had with Coach Schloss, and a couple of them stick out. Both of them actually from my sophomore year. As a freshman, I didn't play a whole lot. I wasn't ready. I just physically was not ready to play. I was very overmatched. I could always play defense, and that's kind of what got me in the lineup and kept me in the lineup. But offensively, I was just small, and just wasn't ready for the competition level. So going into my sophomore year, I got in the weight room a lot more. Started to pay attention a little bit more to my diet. I'll get into that too. But we played in South Carolina. Went to Myrtle Beach. Played a tournament against Coastal Carolina. Played against NC State. Played against Notre Dame. And played against, I think, UNC Wilmington. We had a terrible, terrible showing. Coastal Carolina just smoked us. Notre Dame beat us. UNC Wilmington beat us. And in the very last game, we played NC State, which NC State was probably the best team that we played that weekend. And we beat them. We beat them like 3-1. I went like 1 for 3, had a really nice sacrifice bunt. I was really trying to bunt. I batted ninth, played second base. And this was right around the time that text messaging started to really pick up, right?
Because we're old.
Yeah, real old, yeah. And I was feeling okay, but I also knew that, man, I struggled offensively, And Coach Schloss sent me a text after the NC State game. We were in the hotel. I think we were getting ready to go to the airport or doing something. I don't know. But sent me a text message and said, hey, great job this weekend. Really good game. Get in the weight room tomorrow, get a lift in, and rest because we're going to need you the rest of the season. Something like that. Something to that effect of that he showed me that he trusted me and believed in me and what I could do. And like I said, I didn't play my freshman year. And so that really gave me a lot of confidence to really see, like, he noticed that I've been putting in a lot of work and been trying really hard, and the results might not have been there yet, but he saw it in me that they were coming. And then later on that season, we went to Colorado Springs to play Air Force in a series that the first game I think was like 5.5 hours long. It snowed and sleeted. It was terrible weather. But before that game, he called me into his hotel room and had gone over all my stats and had noticed that if I walked one more time out of 8 at bats, it would raise my on base percentage by like 90 points or something like that. And I was really sitting there thinking, like, you really went through all this stuff just to tell me to walk one more time in 8 at bats. And that game that we played, I think I walked once, got hit once, and then hit a home run on a pitch that he told me was coming. And so that kind of set the stage for the rest of my TCU career, at least. That showed me I can be doing a lot more on my own to prepare, because Coach Schloss, who's not even playing, is feeding me all this information. Just showed me how much he's doing away from the field when nobody else was watching. And it really did, like, set the stage and show me that you know what? He pushed us real hard, and he's going to continue to push people real hard because he expects a lot out of everyone, and he's not satisfied ever, which is awesome. But also is that you always got a little bit more in you. You can always do a little bit more. You can always watch a little bit more film. You can always, you know, hit the weights a little bit harder. You can always eat a little bit better to get you to that next level because there's always somebody out there that is trying to take your spot. And that kind of leads me into another thing that he always pushed competition. It was all about competing with your teammates at practice, competing with yourself to try to get better. It was just, and it kind of was this constant playing with a chip on your shoulder that went back to, hey, TCU was not, when I played TCU, was not what TCU is now. We were good. Don't get me wrong. We won 4 straight conference championships. But when we would go up against the big boys, the A&Ms on Tuesday and, the Oklahomas on Tuesday and all of that, we were coming up short a lot of the time. And it was always, hey, we're going after them. And he turned TCU into a program that had the target on its back every single game. And you saw that a lot when you would watch TCU play against teams on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night, and you got teams' best pitchers. I remember we would always go play Dallas Baptist, and Dallas Baptist would always pitch their ace against us. That's how much they thought of us, and that's how much they wanted to beat us. And so, kind of bringing it full circle, he's an unbelievable coach. He's an unbelievable person. He has every player's back, no matter what. And what's really cool is that, so my wife and I, we had twin girls back in 2016, and they're probably 6 months old. And he sends me a text message. And he's like, "When are you bringing your girls over to see me?" And I was like, "Man, that." And so we brought him over there, and he put those 4 years in college. Obviously, is all about getting to Omaha, but after you graduate, he's still in your life, and he's still rooting you on. He's still telling you how much, how proud he is of you. He's just an overall awesome guy. I think he's going to fit in very well. He's going to bring his own style to A&M, but that style is going to fit in very nicely in the SEC. And I'm really happy for him. I hate to see him go from TCU because obviously that's where I went. I played for him, but really, really happy for him that he's getting the opportunity to go to an elite program that A&M is. And selfishly working for the multimedia rights holder at Learfield IMG College, I think he's going to bring a lot of success to the program and be, put a team out on there that the fans, the 12th man, is going to be really, really proud to watch play.
There's one key point, and go full disclosure for those watching. I was a bullpen catcher on the team in 2007 with Ben, the little socially awkward freshman that kind of like distanced himself from everyone. But that's a whole nother story. But the thing that stuck out to me from all the baseball programs I had been a part of coming there is something that you kind of touched on a little bit. And it's a sports cliche to go into controlling the controllables and all that stuff. But the emphasis at that time that he put into the psychology of and bringing in guys like Brian Kane and doing things like that was just so foreign to me at the time, and kind of revolutionary a little bit, at least, or cutting edge for those guys then. And it just seems like as you look forward through not only the time that you were playing and the time that but the times that A&M was playing TCU in those super regionals and in Omaha, and they were getting beat every time, it just looked like a lot of times TCU was the mentally stronger team. And how much do you see as just that mental toughness as a key identity of Jim Schlossnagle's teams?
Yeah, I mean, it was something for me too that was brand new. And Brian King came in my freshman year, and started working with us. Um, and really visualization, visualizing yourself having success, visualizing yourself also failing and how you're going to act. A pretty cool story. We were right when I was at TCU. We were right on the cusp of hosting a regional. We made it to a regional final my sophomore year, got beat by Rice, who was like the number 2 overall seed. We went to Stillwater my junior year and got beat ultimately by Oklahoma State, and Jordy Mercer hit 3 home runs in one game. we were right on the cusp of hosting a regional, and we've all seen the numbers of when you host a regional, you have an 80% chance of winning, and then you host super regional, all that stuff. So I mean, hosting a regional is the pathway to Omaha, right? And so that was our goal, was we need to host regional. Um, and with through the visualization, he actually had us recording that Chuck Lamondola did of his call of us beating LSU in a super regional and going to the College World Series for the first time. He made us sit in our clubhouse and close our eyes and listen to that call and listen to that feeling and listen to what that would be like. Because that's how close we were, and that's how much he knew that's how close we were. And so it also goes into his preparation is out of this world. You know, I've already told you about, you know, him looking at my stats and saying, hey, if you block one more time, you know, you have, it'll lead to this many more runs. But I mean, just being prepared for every single situation. You know, we would listen. He would blast crazy music during practice sometimes to distract us, so we could block all of that out and focus on the game. And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Well, when you go to Austin in Game 3 of a Super Regional, that's what it's like being the road team. Is you're getting all kinds of stuff yelled at you. There's, you know, not necessarily bad stuff, but there's a lot of distractions that you have to face. And he was so focused on blocking all that out and focusing on the next pitch. It's all that matters is the next pitch. And it was all about preparation, all about that mentality and just psychologically getting yourself into that position already. So when you are in that position in reality, you're comfortable, right? You get super uncomfortable during practice. Practice is I always say it's not our time, it's his time, right? Practice is his time. The games are our time. The games are when we get to have fun. Practice is supposed to make you uncomfortable. Practice is supposed to push you to that limit. So whenever you get into the game, it's like clockwork because you've done it before. And so, you know, another one of my favorite things that he always said is he liked guys that love to practice. And you
Those
know, my
practices
brothers
were
are
long.
long, long practices. Snow, we practice in snow, we practice in rain, we practice in a lot of uncomfortable situations. And my brother's a college basketball coach, University of Ozarks, Division III. And I always told him that, you know, the thing I miss most about pretty much all sports, but especially baseball, is practicing. I used to love practicing. I used to love, you know, inter squads. They were terrible. They were 10 hours long, right? But I loved it because it was getting us ready for the game. And again, I talk about how he was preparing us for life. Man, there's a lot of stuff in everyday life that you don't want to do, and a lot of it is preparing to do the next thing. But if you prepare and prepare and prepare, then when you get in the heat of the moment, you get in that battle, you're ready to go. It's you've already done it because you've been preparing for it. And so yeah, those practices used to be, they used to
See,
some long practices.
and here's full disclosure. So Ben and all those guys were out just busting their butt, doing, you know, ground ball after ground ball. I was in the bullpen, and I had probably caught like my 6th consecutive bullpen at that time and forgotten to eat lunch because I was a freshman. So I was back there with my phone texting one of my fraternity brothers to come slip me chicken fingers through the fence at the, so they're the athletes. I was eating chicken fingers in the bullpen. So that's always a great thing to relive and remember. But well,
Yeah.
you go a little bit, if you don't mind, as we kind of wrap things up here, a little bit into what you're doing now, with in conjunction with A&M, and kind of what you maybe project to see Coach Schlossnagle too, with this A&M program, what he can do in the SEC. So you and then Schloss.
Yeah, sure. So, so I work for Learfield IMG College. We're the multimedia rights holders for over 200 colleges and universities across the country. I work for Texas A&M specifically. So what we do as a company is we connect companies to the 12th man through strategic in-venue signage, digital and social elements. You know, our radio network is vast. It's across the country, hospitality, anything that any way a company wants to try to reach Texas A&M fans is what we do. So we do that across all the sports. So anything inside Kyle Field, at Bluebell Park, Reed Arena, that's what we do. So I'm lucky that I get to work in a business that is sports related, and get to talk sports pretty much all day. And as from the outside looking in, I'm sorry, there's someone at my door coming inside right now. So I get to continue in sports, and very lucky to do so. And as an outsider, playing Texas A&M on a Tuesday night and seeing just how crazy the 12th man is, and seeing all of the awesome traditions as an outsider, I was like, man, this is cool, but I don't really know about it. Now that I'm a part of it, and really a part of it, it is an unbelievable institution, college, university, and athletic department with unbelievable leaders. I'm very, very fortunate to be in the position I am. And so as we transition kind of into Schloss, I obviously am very biased. I think he's the best coach in America. So I think he's going to have a lot of success. But obviously, baseball, as we've seen, especially college baseball, I mean, it's extremely hard to win. Every team is really, really good. And there's so many things that you can't control, right? As we saw, this past weekend, national seeds and teams that are hosting regionals are going down, and teams that were probably not even given a shot are now playing in super regionals. And then you've got your programs that have been there forever, and it's like, hey, whenever the season comes out, you can kind of mark in a couple teams to already get to Omaha, because that they're going to be that good. So it's definitely going to be challenging. And the SEC is good in everything, every sport. There's no question about that. So I know that Schloss is going to have those guys extremely well prepared. He's going to put them through an unbelievable fall schedule. But along with that too, he's going to have the expectation that they are good, really good people. And that, doesn't begin on the baseball field, right? It begins in the classroom, it begins in the community. Some of the things that he's done in his time that probably haven't got a whole lot of attention. Obviously with Micah, the things that he did with Micah while at TCU, and I just Google TCU baseball Micah, and you'll see just how awesome that everything that he did with Mike and his family is. But also, I think it was probably 2013 or 14 when tornadoes hit Oklahoma and TCU was on their way to the Big 12 tournament. I think their game got rained out or something. He loaded all the players up on the bus. They went and got water and supplies and drove them down to, I think it was Moore, Oklahoma, and delivered all that stuff. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about Coach Schloss right there, is that he's thinking of other people first. He understands that what he's doing is much larger than baseball. He's developing young men and young leaders. And so I think that's ultimately what Texas A&M got, is a great coach, but an unbelievable person.
My favorite story to tell of the time I got to spend with the team was actually getting to travel to Old Olson Field on a Tuesday night in 2007. And coach tells me to run down there and warm up to get Jake Arrieta going for his midweek pin. So I'm catching Jake down there, and that's when the bullpens were actually on the baseline. They had the bleachers, and these two, raggy fans who, of course, A&M has great fans, are over here just in my ear. Hey man, who are you? Why aren't you in the roster? Who are you? Just
Right.
whatever. And I'm blocking them out, whatever. So finally they disappear. They go down there. Jake's throwing. Then all of a sudden I see him peer by Jake, and they just say one thing to him, and he kind of stops and he looks at me and he looks at them. And he looks at me, he says something to them, and they're back, hey, Travis, blah, blah, blah. So he just totally sold me out to the A&M fans, and it's a testament to how good they get in on that. So anyway, man, I appreciate you so much for joining me and chatting with me a little bit about Coach Schloss. And so anytime you go out there and see a billboard or something like that at Reed Arena, you can thank hey, that was Ben that did that.